We are going to talk about a movie.
This is gonna be a disaster.
It was one of the best movies of the year.
It's gonna go so well. Probably one of the last movies I would ever want to see in a theater. What is going on, everybody? Taylor here, and as usual, I am joined by...
Hello everybody, Jacob here, and I'm really excited to talk about today's movie.
Me too. This is officially, at this moment in time, my favorite movie of the year. It holds my #1 spot so far this year.
It is somewhere in my top 10. I just have no idea where because I haven't even attempted to do
this
it
movie
yet.
I have been so excited for since we got the little teaser. The little teaser dropped, and I had no idea what we were in for. I just knew we needed to react to it. I knew it was a Taika Waititi movie, but I didn't know anything else about it.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that people were dropping reactions to it.
Yeah, I mean...
You and I sat down and watched it, and we just laughed.
Oh, it was
so
so
hard.
Funny. It's so
like,
funny.
from the second we finished watching that, I was like, this is exactly my kind of movie. Like, this is the humor that I'm 100% here for. And I've been anticipating it ever since. Like...
And
guys,
honestly, it is one of the best movies.
Guys,
of the year. Jojo Rabbit.
This movie, not only is it genius in its satirical moments, like it uses satire and comedy and just ridiculousness so well, but there's a point in this movie when it punches you right in the face.
Oh yeah,
like it takes
there's
a hard turn,
There's a few gut punches,
but there's
in this
one.
Movie. Oh yeah, there's one particular.
One that hits you, and then you go, "Oh, this movie is actually gonna go there."
Yeah,
it's not just gonna be a complete satire.
Yeah,
like it's.
I think it is a very poignant and intelligent look at the Holocaust from the eyes of satire, which I think sounds wrong. Like it sounds wrong to say that, hey, we're satiring the Holocaust. It's not. It treats the Holocaust, and it actually doesn't really even touch upon the Holocaust realistically. Like
not realistically, no.
Because at that point, like where it's set, the Holocaust has kind of happened.
Yeah.
Whereas it's the last days of
the Nazi regime, really.
Yeah, and I think the way it satires Nazism is what
it's not the Holocaust. No, it's the Nazis. It's really,
and that's what I think does it so well.
And I just want to start off by, like, this is really important to me that this movie rests completely on the shoulders of children actors, and they are brilliant.
Absolutely,
they are brilliant.
It is very, very important that you... I mean, the movie is basically seeing the eyes of war through a 10-year-old.
Right.
And that's,
the war and the propaganda and what that actually... How that could be perceived by a child.
Yes.
At this point. Who doesn't... their brain hasn't developed to a point where they can actually...
Or to understand the
like
absolute...
what the actual Nazi... goal is and why it's bad and they if all they know is this is what we do for our country, this is what all your friends are doing, this is what your family's doing, like this is just what it is, and to see a child try and process and parse through what that actually means and live through that and it's done beautifully. The writing in this movie,
the screenplay is its biggest strength. I think if
100%.
The screenplay, if that doesn't work, this movie fails.
If the screenplay doesn't work and you don't believe the kid actors, this movie is toast.
Yeah, oh, exactly. Definitely, because if the way that it handles the satire is so delicately that you are laughing at absolute atrocities happening.
Yeah.
I mean, like one of the and this isn't a spoiler because it's in the first 5 minutes of the movie. One of the biggest laughs of the movie is a kid getting blown up.
Yeah,
like a kid getting half his face blown off. Like that's a laugh in the movie, and it plays it for a laugh because of the way that it tells that story. Now, if you say it without context, of course that's horrific and it's terrifying.
Yeah.
But the way that it plays it in the film is really funny, and that's kind of the point. The point is you're laughing at it.
Yeah.
And
I think that obviously, to me, this is obvious. Obviously, Taika Waititi does a great job in this movie, but Sam Rockwell is so good.
He's
so good.
He has a really great little arc, but also like just a really great performance.
He's so good in this movie. His arc is so... It's definitely a background arc, but it's so interesting, and it plays out so nicely in the flow with the rest of the movie. And he just does a great job. That role is not an easy role to take, and also not an easy role to take and then get to that final moment, which I won't say what it is. No. To get to that final moment that you see him on screen and go, oh, I actually feel kind of bad for him.
Yeah. I feel bad for a Nazi. That's something I didn't think this movie would get me to feel, but okay.
It's a big testament to the writing, but also to Sam Rockwell.
His performance is just absolutely incredible. The other performance, I think, look, let's just go there. Taika as Hitler is hilarious. And it never once, and I think this is very key for this film, it never once glorifies it.
No.
It always jokes. No. It is always playing a joke of Hitler, that Hitler was a joke.
Yes, it always treats him as if he was ridiculous and shouldn't really be taken seriously because the things he's saying are so beyond.
But it's, and in terms of, like, I know that comes across as, but he wasn't a joke, like he committed absolute
no, of course not.
Like that's not where I'm coming from with that. I'm more saying that it kind of treats him like the example I used when we were talking about it on Best of, or on our Oscar show, was it treats it very much like the producers did, where let's just joke about it, let's laugh at Hitler because it is hard, because it is. If you laugh at something, it is harder for someone else to grab it.
Yeah.
For someone to repurpose the ideology of it, because hey, you're laughing at the absolute absurdity.
You're basically destroying it by treating it as a joke.
Yes.
Because like that can honestly make someone just completely like, people don't like to be laughed at.
No,
no one wants to be a laughing stock.
Yeah, and I think that the way this handles Nazism and the whole Nazi regime is incredibly delicate.
Yeah.
And it's not something that you can just explain to someone. Like you can't like it's really hard in a review for me to say this is why. Without going and seeing it.
You kind of just have to experience the movie and decide for yourself if this kind of satire is right for you, because for some people it's just not going to be.
Yeah.
But within the first 10 minutes of this movie, I was laughing so hard that I was like...
The first 10 minutes is just... The whole movie is just absolutely hilarious, filled with gut punches you are not expecting.
Yeah. And there is... I won't spoil this, but I will say that as carefully as possible without spoiling anything. There is some very... I'm going to go with subliminal, subtle camera shots in this movie that get you to notice things without realizing you do. Yeah. And then it delivers in a gut punch moment.
There are things that the way it's directed, I'll just say that. The way it's directed is very, very good in getting you to not doing the typical shot. It
gets you to understand and follow the story it wants to without dialogue a lot of the time. Like it's directed in a way that you understand, and some of the time you don't understand until later the gut punch has happened and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this is a superbly made film. Absolutely gut-busting hilarious.
I think it's a very important film.
Yes.
Because it is funny, and I don't think that should be overlooked. I think it's hilarious, but it's hilarious with a point.
Yes.
It's hilarious in the ways it sets out to be, with getting you to understand something very important, but it also really, really plays out those dramatic and emotional moments very, very well, handles them perfectly, And I think I just really think it shows this little boy who is trying to find his identity, trying to figure out who he is, and also trying to be a kid at the same time, in the middle of this huge moment in history that he doesn't understand. And the people who were involved in it don't understand, because in the moment, when you're in it in the moment, you don't realize it's going to be a moment in history. But he's in this moment where all of this craziness is happening around him. He keeps hearing about war every single day, and he's given propaganda to hand out and be a part of every day. And he's put in a uniform and giving this ridiculous war training. And he's in the middle of this, and it builds it up and builds it up and builds it up and shows you just how dedicated he is to it, because like I said, it's what his friends are doing. It's what everyone he sees in the streets are doing. That's his normal. And then he gets to a point where he meets someone that doesn't necessarily want to spend time with him, and he doesn't necessarily want to spend time with them. But through these moments, he slowly starts to discover what he actually believes and who he wants to be. And not through any sort of reverse propaganda, not through any sort of like anything else other than just meeting a person who he was told to believe is this and this and this and this and is horrible and like is all these horrible things and this is our enemy and this is this, and just spending time with a person and just completely going on this other journey. And the way it's handled
but I think the way that it's handled there, where he's trying to reinforce the horribleness, and I like that was the angle they went with. He handles it very much the way a 10-year-old would. And I like the way they did that. I think that it never loses sight of the fact that its main character is a 10-year-old kid. And
but that's what I mean, important. Though. Like it's really showing this through something you could only see with a kid that's around that age, because the mindset of a child is just fascinating, especially at an age like that where you're really at a very crucial developmental stage in your life. And I just think that it's so beautifully told, and it's told in a way that I have never personally seen in a Holocaust war kind of movie. Like you never really see it from this perspective, but you also never really see it from this starting point in the story. And that's key. Like we don't really see it. I mean, the closest it's not a great analogy, but the closest one is probably Life is Beautiful. But even then, not really. But with Life is Beautiful, that is strictly about the Holocaust. But that's what I mean, though. Like we've never really had anything. We've never, and it's through a father trying to help his child deal with the Holocaust. Whereas in this time, it's through the eyes of the child, and I think that's a very key and important difference. But it's also not focused on the Holocaust. It's not him trying to deal with the Holocaust. I doubt he even in his mind knows anything about what that actually is, because she's the only one that ever would have really brought it up. And she doesn't really. She mentions it in like one offhanded scene, but that's it. Is there anything else you think that we need to cover? I think this is a great film, one of the best of the year, and I can't wait to see it again. I know. I actually really do want to watch it again, just because it was so good. It does exactly what it set out to do. I think that I'm exactly the target audience for this movie in terms of it's the kind of humor that I love. It's very clever, but it's also humorous and clever for a purpose. There's a very distinct journey that this movie is going on. There's a distinct and important story that it's trying to tell, and it takes itself seriously enough to where when it needs to get serious, it gets serious and gives you those moments, and doesn't try to throw jokes in to throw away those moments, and it lets you sit with them and really feel what's going on, but then it's able to go back to that humor when it's appropriate to do so, as appropriate as this movie can be. But I loved this movie a lot, and I'm really, really glad that it was what I expected. This is one of the few movies this year that really delivered for me in terms of how much I just love it. I walked out of the theater so happy with my experience. But what did you guys think? Have you seen this movie? If you have, we'd really love to hear what your favorite parts of this movie were, because there's some gold to pick from in this movie. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. As always, all of our links are down in the description if you want to find us on social media. Our Letterboxd links are down there if you want to see how we rated the film. Our Gold Derby accounts are down there if you want to see if we give it any Oscars or Golden Globe chances.
Yep.
And we also are putting a link down there if you want to be a part of something we're working on.
Yes.
Jacob, do you want to talk about it?
So for this decade, obviously the decade wraps up in about a month,
which is horrifying.
I know. And I thought it would be something. We thought it would be a cool thing to do where we give the decade awards. So basically, we want to hear from you. In the link below, there will be a link for you to fill in a form, giving your top 5 nominees in each category, 10 obviously for Best Picture. So
for the last decade.
Yes. So your favorite, who are your 5 favorite performances? Who are your 5 best actors for the last decade?
Your favorite cinematography, your favorite scores, your favorite, you name it, Best Picture.
Yes.
And it's a Google form, so you'll need to sign into a Google account to fill it out. If that doesn't work for you, leave us a comment and we can give you an email link that you can send something through to if you want to be a part of it, because we have a form. We can email you as well if that is more convenient for you, but we would love for you guys to participate because we want as many opinions on this as we can get.
Yes.
And we'd really, really love for you to participate.
Yeah, we would. It would be a lot of fun, and the more people, the better opportunities we get for just the better selection.
A diversified selection.
So an actual selection that is interesting and not just our picks.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that could get really old
Because
really
we
quickly.
will go through our own picks at some point as well, but we do want to see kind of what a general consensus from a good number of people looks like.
Exactly.
But thank you guys so much for all of your support. We really, really appreciate it, and we will see you next time.